Literally, no matter what you do, people are going to be hating on you. I really am sorry that I don't have an exact reason, because I was there and I've been there and I still go through it every single day. Hi again, it's Ellie. Welcome back to my podcast, I'll Be Your Sister. We had a little bit of a break between season 1 and season 2, which I guess was episode 12, and now is episode 13 of I'll Be Your Sister. Guys, I cannot believe we're going. If you really think about it, it's like 30 minutes to an hour of talking, which in total, that's like, I've been talking now for 6 to 12 hours on the internet, which is very, very exciting and also a little scary that I can talk for that long. Speaking of, guys, we have upgraded. If you are watching this on YouTube, which you can, the link, if you're listening to it on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast, there is a link to in the little descriptive notes thingies where you can now watch the podcast. Did you guys know that a podcast on video is called a vodcast, which sounds like a really sugary alcoholic drink now thinking about it. So comparing the set now to being in my apartment, this podcast is really homegrown. We've really grown it up to ourselves in season 2. We're really upgrading this season. But the set really looks like my room. I recently installed drapes because when I moved into my apartment, they gave me, they asked if I wanted blackout shades. And at the time, me being Ellie, of course, I was like, no, I don't want to get blackout shades in my apartment because I want to be able to wake up early, work hard to pay for this apartment, all these different things. That was such a bad idea. 6 a.m. every morning when the sun comes up in LA, I'm like, good morning, even if I went to bed late and want to sleep for a couple extra hours. But with that being said, I added shades and curtains, and this actually looks just like my room. Same with these chairs. Something that's different is that my Starbucks that I can't have on video is now in this mug, but I still have this straw from when I was sipping the Starbucks. And it's funny, I got it today, and I said to my mom, I was like, this tastes like my podcast because these are the similarities. I also have Amanda, who you can't see, is sitting right across from me, who is literally my therapist for all of I'll Be Your Sister, and was sitting across from me when we were not videotaping this podcast last season. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling less jittery now that I'm talking, but I'm very excited for the topic of today's podcast, which is all about updating you on what has happened in my life the past few months that I have not been talking to you guys, as well as reinventing yourself, new eras, tips to becoming a new person, which is just an insane title that I thought of just now. Something that I wanted to add for season 2 of I'll Be Your Sister is an OOTD version. As you guys know, if you follow me on TikTok and Instagram, I am very, very into fashion and my outfits. I have recently been on a mirror selfie, what's it called? Like when you do it a lot? Yeah. I have recently been on a mirror selfie kick. It's really funny because literally 2 days ago, I was hanging out with my friend Sophia, and this is actually kind of mean, but I said something like, oh, I wonder if blah, blah, blah's house has like a good mirror I can take a picture in. And she was about to be like, what did she say? Let me think about it first. She was like, oh my God, like I follow this girl that like posts all these mirror. And I was like, are you talking about me right now? And she's like, oh yeah, you've been posting a lot of mirror pictures recently. And with that, it's because I've been into putting on a new outfit every day, really dressing for myself, which is something we're going to talk about in today's podcast. But back to this. My ADHD is back and kicking. That really means that we're back. I wanted to describe what I will be wearing for each of these podcast episodes in the beginning of the episode. If you are listening right now, you can see, if you want to see the actual outfit, you can go onto the Past Your Bedtime YouTube channel and watch this. I'd love to make eye contact with you in the least creepy way possible. Day 1 of shooting in person, This is my outfit. I really can't stand up, so I'm really going to try to maneuver, but I feel like this is a very classic Ellie outfit. Also, I didn't know what to wear today, and tip, if you don't know what to wear a monochromatic outfit, black or white or whatever your favorite color is that you have a lot of in your closet. I am wearing this white long sleeve t-shirt from Zara. They have the best t-shirts. I also have it in black. I'm wearing these low-rise cargo white pants from this company called House of Sunny, which they make really good cargos. They're like really, really big, and that makes me feel like I'm just like in a hug, which is very, very nice. I have these Sambas that my mom actually got me before I even knew that Sambas were going to be a big thing. My mom knows all of the trends beforehand, and she got them for me. I think they're from Amazon. I really want to get like the green or purple ones. I don't know, but right now these are the ones that I have on. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my outfit today. We're being chill. I want it to be comfortable today for day one. And speaking of being comfortable, I'm feeling comfortable enough to talk about the chunk of today's episode, which is what I've been up to, updates in my life, new era of Ellie. I don't even know what that means yet, but we're going to figure it out today. And kind of updating you guys because it's been a minute and I missed you. All right, now I have to look at my little thing for what we want to talk about. After I turned 19, I went on a little spring break trip with my mom and also my friend who is like an old friend of mine and her mom. We went to Cancun together for her spring break. She's in college. It was a very, very interesting trip that I think I need to dedicate a whole episode to. But it was very interesting because we're in two completely different stages of our lives, and just I feel like I learned a lot from that trip. And so, yeah, that was very interesting. But the trip that I do want to talk about is the fact that I was literally in Africa, like a week and a half or 2 weekends ago. I was invited to go to Morocco with one of my favorite brands, YSL Beauty, which actually saying that out loud is freaking insane that I got to do that. So initially when I got invited on this trip, I was excited. And then all the trip anxiety started to hit me. I do have an episode about brand trips, but as if you listen to that episode, and even if you didn't, I'll reiterate, they can be very, very anxiety inducing and very, very scary going into it. It was very interesting because this trip specifically, there were no plus ones. So almost every single time for a plus one, I'll bring my mom. There was one time that I brought my dad and that was really fun too. But usually I have my to-go therapist, who's my mom, on every single trip with me. And so she can like really coach me through these things. But there were no plus ones on this trip, which was a new experience for me. Heading into this trip, of course, I was on this trip with a bunch of influencers who you make assumptions about just based on the internet, and I'm the first person to know that what you show on the internet isn't actually who you are. But I think that it was very interesting. I was going in kind of like a vulnerable spot, just like traveling. So we flew from LAX to Paris, which took us 10 hours, and then we had a 7-hour layover in the Paris airport, and then we flew from Paris then to Morocco. But going in, I was thinking like, I know that the girls on this trip are going to be on my flight, and we're going to have a 7-hour layover together, which was very scary, of course, going into it. I was sweating in the Uber ride on the way there. But then I saw them in the airport and it was all great. I actually had a really, really good trip. I feel like I really needed it, especially after kind of a traumatic trip when I went to Cancun. Not traumatic, but there was definitely like, it took a toll on me, and I got back home feeling like I didn't even rest. I had just like gotten beat up by a trip, if that makes sense. I felt like it was really nice to have no plus ones because us as influencers were like forced to really lean on each other. I feel like when there's a plus one on a trip, you're kind of competing for who can get the best Instagram pictures, who can take like the best TikToks and the best locations, who can like post faster, who can like beat each other on the trip. And with no plus ones, it was kind of like we had to lean on each other for content. And it was really, really nice. And I feel like we all left being friends, which is like friends on a different level than just social media, which was really, really special. And I miss it already, even though it was just a couple of weeks ago that I was in Africa. I did not know, this is hard for me to admit, I did not know that Morocco was in Africa. I had gotten onto the second flight and they had stamped my passport and they were like, welcome to Africa. And we were like, what? Where are we? I don't know why. Just in my head, I feel like it's close to like Ibiza or Mykonos, like in Greece. It's something that's not, I don't know, but we got there. It was gorgeous. It was so pretty. We really just had the best time. It was a really, really good trip. I'm smiling thinking about it. So one of the day activities that we got to do in Morocco was go and we got to like plant trees on their, like restore, they call it like rewild, where it's like restoring, not wildlife, but like the earth, restoring the earth. And they actually gifted us a like acre of land in Morocco. So there's an acre of land that says Ellie Zeiler in Morocco. Not says, but like is my acre of land. Isn't that so cool? But yeah, they taught us about just, I feel like a lot of brands are working on sustainability right now. And so that was like their big incentive, which was really cool. Yeah. And then we went for 3 days and then flew like 20 hours back. So it was good. When I thought of this first episode back to being in the second season, being in like a new space, things like that, I really thought of like a reinventing yourself kind of episode and tips to reinventing yourself. I feel like especially, I don't know why, I felt like in 2023, I've just like kind of stayed the same in a few senses. And I wanted to think and like give myself tips and also give you guys tips if you guys are feeling like stuck in your skin kind of and feel the need, literally like a snake, to like shed old skin off and be ready for spring and summer and like a new era of Ellie and a new era of us, because we're in a new era of I'll Be Your Sister. That wrapped up all together. This is kind of an interesting subject, like reinventing yourself, because it's something that I think takes a lot of intrinsic motivation to do. I also think that like it's interesting with me talking about it right now because I haven't fully gotten, like I've had the itch and the urge to reinvent myself. Reinvent is such a strong word. I think to me, reinventing means like having a new outlook on life, having new like energy around you, feeling like you have grown a little bit. I feel like I always say that I go through stages and I think like growing up as like teenagers and in your 20s, I feel like you go through stages of like growing a lot, and that can be like in like a month, like you grow like a ton, and then you can go through months where you don't grow that much and you're just like kind of trucking along in your daily routine and in your life. And I felt like with that and with like a stage that I feel like I'm just in my routine, how can I upgrade my routine a little bit to be better, to ensure that like in a few months from now I want to look back and see that although I don't have these huge plans to completely become a new person, I want to at least look back in a few months and be like, oh wow, I did like really stick to goals and like stick to these things that I'm going to talk about that I think are really important in upgrading your life. That's how I think I'm trying to say reinventing is like upgrading yourself, upgrading Ellie. I'm bringing out my phone because I am terrible at memorizing things and I have a few bullet points that I want to talk about in depth. So if you see that, it really matches with the set. If you guys are listening to this, basically the concept of the set is just like the little picture that you guys see online, which is I'm all about the white and the red right now. My nails are red, my phone case is red, the sign is red, but I'm wearing all white. So we're really sticking to themes here. So I'm happy that my phone could fit the aesthetic. Okay. When I was thinking of tips to upgrading your life, being more of yourself, I thought of something that I personally want to work on, which I wrote down, be more mysterious. I think to me, being more mysterious, I just feel like I talk a lot, and I feel like I talk to everyone about my problems, and I feel like all of my friends know everything about me, and I feel like really how this came about and my thought to being more mysterious is because I, in the past couple of months, have had a new crush. That ended miserably and horribly, which I'm going to talk about in episode 2, where I talk about boys. But with that being said, through this new crush, which was like my first, I guess, like me talking to someone for the first time since my ex-boyfriend, which was like a really big deal for me and kind of has inspired me to want to change myself and upgrade myself a little bit more, like I guess my personality and my own little things. Why I wrote down Be More Mysterious is because I felt like I wanted to share every single update of this new crush with literally every single person in my contact list, which sucked because then when, for example, I would talk to, like, whenever he would text me, I would tell my best friend, I would tell my mom, I would tell the person on the street, I would tell my doorman, I would tell literally everyone every single time, like, we would have an encounter. And then when it ended, I had to then go back and like extinguish the fire that I had lit in everyone's minds about this new crush and like go back and be like, oh yeah, that actually didn't work out. That's really embarrassing that I talked about it at length for freaking hours to every single person and like, I guess not necessarily made them excited because I don't think anyone cares that much, but like spent my time talking about something that wasn't done yet. I also feel like I want to be more mysterious and just, I guess, internalize things more because I feel like with growing up, especially I feel like now when you're like 18 to like your early 20s, I feel like you go through a lot of friendships. And I don't know, I've just been feeling recently that like I'm a really open person, as I think a Pisces, I'm a Pisces. And so I think like a trait with that is that I really like deep conversations and I really like opening up to people as much as I can pretty instantly. And I feel like with that, when a friendship ends, it gives them, I feel like I leave a friendship and I feel like I've opened myself up completely to them. And it's really scary knowing that like now that we're not friends, they know everything about my life. So that's kind of it. It's just being a little bit quieter about what I'm thinking about. Oh, we had a technical difficulty on set. We are already day 1. Things are falling apart, but that is pretty much how I think this season's gonna go. Okay, getting into the second tip for reinventing yourself, becoming a new person, is dressing for yourself. This is something that I have really been struggling with and really been trying to work on literally just in the past week. I feel like it goes back to a crush. I feel like I had a crush on a boy, and with that, I don't know if anyone else does this, hopefully, because it's kind of embarrassing to admit, but I think I start to dress not for myself, and to be honest, I start to try and dress for like the male gaze, in the sense, if you guys have ever heard that, where like I noticed that I wasn't wearing things that like I liked, and I kind of thought in my brain like, what would he like, or like what would guys like to see on me, because I was in my single era. And I think that I've just been trying to like go back to dressing for myself, things that like make me feel comfortable, instead of dressing for like how I would want other people to perceive me. I had this girl swipe up on my Instagram story and basically say that she also had a realization and has been wanting to reinvent herself, and had a realization that like no matter what, people are going to judge you and judge your appearance, and basically like also judge what you wear, and so might as well wear exactly what you want. And I still haven't fully figured out what that is yet for me, but I think like going back to dressing, like being proud of the outfit that I put on my body, instead of thinking about what other people would want to see me in, if that makes sense. All of these tips start with a struggle that happened in my life, and I try to turn them into a positive tip that I can share with you guys. And something that I feel like I was really struggling with the past few months is pouring into friendship, or like giving attention to friendships that weren't giving the same attention and love back to me. I think that like I was spending a lot of time with people just to, number one, fill up my time and kind of distract myself from my own life, and number two, try to kind of like when you have like a crush where you have a crush and like it makes you 10 times more obsessed with a crush that when they don't like you as much back, if that makes sense. What's like an exact way that I can say that? Just when you like someone more than they like you, and that then psychologically makes you want them to like even it out, if that makes sense. And I think that like something that I have been trying to do is step back and take account of the people, like really, really take account of like the people that I have been pouring into their cups and spending time with, and seeing if like the friendship is not only benefiting me in the same way, but also like, am I learning from the friendship? Am I growing with them? Am I like enjoying actually spending time with people instead of kind of like wasting my time because I'm bored, which I've been doing a lot recently. So as always, this is very I'll Be Your Sister. We're all growing together. I clearly don't have it figured out, but those are just some things that I have been thinking about and have gone through in the past couple of months since talking to you guys, and things that if you are also going through a weird time in your life that I think that we can all be a little bit more aware of. And I was really, really excited to come back on and connect with you. I yesterday wrote again on my Instagram, like, what questions do you guys have? And I am very, very excited to connect with you guys again and see what you guys have been thinking about and talking about. And I got so many great questions. It honestly almost made me cry yesterday. My family group chat must think that I'm so annoying because I was screenshotting all the questions you guys were sending me and sending them to the group chat and being like, aren't these so nice? Like, my followers are so smart. Look at these people. They're so like intuitive and all these different things. So let's get into the Q&A portion. All right. Someone asked me how to remove toxic friendships without hurting the other person, which is something that I have really been thinking about recently, because I think that something that I struggle with is seeing something wrong in a friendship and instantly cutting it off out of my life. I felt like a few months ago, I thought that that was like a form of self-care, is seeing like a friendship going wrong and instantly cutting it off because I was being selfish. But looking back, that number one, it's happened to me and it always hurts when like someone cuts you out of their life. And number two, I've been thinking of more of like healthy ways to kind of unattach yourself from people, because what I've realized in life is that usually when you unattach yourself from people, sometime later in your life, you always come back to like reconnecting with them. And so making that experience a little less like black and white and a little bit more gray, where it's just like a float away. So back to the question. I think that what I was really thinking about when I read this question was, I feel like the word cutting off a friendship is so strong. And I think instead of using that, what I've been trying to do is slowly distance myself from people. Something specific happened a couple of months ago where I went to go visit a friend and stay with her. And we were just in really like two completely different places in our lives. And I left the trip feeling like we were not meshing well together. And I feel like a few months ago, the old Ellie would have just like instantly cut it off and been like, this isn't working. I need to like cut it off and find a new friend and like do a complete 180 pivot from that person. And instead, I kind of like thought more of slowly distancing myself and just realizing that like I'm sure we're going to reconnect again when we're both in the same time in our lives. But so going back to the question, how to kind of cut someone toxic out of your life without it being like this huge dramatic thing and like hurting the other person, is I think like just slowly distancing yourself. It doesn't need to be like one day you wake up and you're like, we are not friends anymore. I think it's just like slowing down communication. Honestly, just being aware that you don't want to be around this person as much is good in itself, and like will naturally distance you guys. And they're going to figure it out too. A form of like the fact that you even know that you want to cut off this person is like you have to protect yourself and be aware of yourself. And it's all going to work out as long as you don't make any harsh decisions in the moment, which I have done many, many times. And that's why I'm here talking about it. The next question is, how do you deal with haters in general? Like girls that just won't quit hating on your life. Funny enough, I was going to reshare this on my Instagram story and be like, I don't know, girl, I literally have no idea how to make them stop. But I think like why I screenshotted this question and why it like hit so close to home is because I remember growing up and being in like middle school and high school, and honestly to this day, and feeling like everyone around me just didn't like me I was giving them no specific reason, but like I just remember going to school and being like, all these girls are talking about me, and then getting onto the internet and posting on the internet and being like, no one can just like me. Everyone's like hating for no reason. And I think that there's something that has to be said for being kind of like delusional to all of it, and like staying completely in your own lane, and like as selfish as it may seem, solely focusing on yourself and knowing that like literally no matter what you do, people are going to be hating on you, and people are going to be hating on them. And honestly, society these days is just like people are just so competitive with each other and trying to take down other people that seem stronger. And I feel like it's really important that like you stick to doing things that you like and stick to taking care of yourself, and just know that like it's all going to get better. I really am sorry that I don't have an exact reason, because I was there and I've been there and I still go through it every single day. But just I always say this to you guys, that like knowing that like you're the only person that's going to be there for you your whole life. And so take care of yourself, love yourself, be there for yourself. And, people are going to come and go. And I'm really sorry that people are hating on you right now, because I know how that feels, and it can feel really, really heavy. But I love you. Reading that question, something I feel like to take away from and like give you a little bit more perspective on is just think like, I don't want to say take pity on the people that are hating you constantly, but just know that like no one that has their shit figured out, no one that like feels good about themselves, no one that like is a truly happy person that has it figured out would be hating on other people. So I think like if people are hating you and girls are hating you right now, just know that it has to do with something that's going on in their life, and that's what they want, is like to put their stuff onto you, and like they feel like that like by sharing hatred and like sharing what they're going through onto you is going to make them feel better, which I mean, I think we all know that it doesn't. But just be really protective of yourself and be really protective of your positive energy, and you're going to get through it. It's going to be okay. I'm figuring it out too. So we're all in it together. Since we're all about trying new things today, I wanted to introduce a new little segment of the episodes, which are things that I love right now. Sitting here right now, things that I love. Specific things like skincare and makeup and all the things that we love. The first thing, I kind of want to do like an overall theme to the subject. So since today was all about like reinventing yourself, new eras, taking care of yourself, I had my overall theme of the things that I love right now be things that involve self-care. The first thing that I have been obsessed with the past few months, ever since talking to you guys, is I found out about saunas. See, I knew, like, obviously growing up, like, I knew about saunas. I had been in them with, my dad growing up and things like that. But I found out that my building has a sauna, and that most, like, gyms have saunas too. And I think it has made me feel so, like, it makes me feel like I work out without even working out, because I just sit in there for, like, 15 minutes and sweat so much. And usually there's really cute boys that hang out in the sauna. I'm just saying. That's, like, a thing that I've realized. Okay, the next thing that I've really been liking recently is having a really in-depth, like, skincare routine. I feel like we all go through times where we don't really care that much about your skin. And like, I feel like I was in that portion where like I would just wash my face, put on the moisturizer and go to bed and not really care. Recently, I've been on like skincare, they call it slugging TikTok. Slugging is basically like, I think people do it with like Vaseline or Aquaphor where they like put it all over their face. But in my opinion, it's going to bed with like your face drenched in skincare products where you look like a donut, like a slug, like just you're really like all your skincare is marinating at night. That's how I see it, is like all your pores are absorbing all of this skincare. So recently I have been using I love the Lancome Genifique serum. That is very, very good for also gouacheing. If you guys are like into gouacheing your face or like using your fingers to do it, I'm making the motion if you guys are watching it on YouTube right now. Going like this and this. How do I describe that? On like massaging your face at night. The Lancome Genifique serum is very, very good for that and good for a lot of skin types. I also, tried and true, is my Dermalogica Active Moist Moisturizer. I don't know what it is about that moisturizer, but it works on so many people's skincare types, or so many people's skin types. And I have genuinely, I don't think I've rebought a product more than the Dermalogica Active Moist Moisturizer. I think I've got it like 20 times at this point. You can get it on Amazon, which is great. Dior Beauty sells a really good under eye cream because it's really fancy. Like the applicator comes with like all these metal balls in it, so you can like put it on at night and it feels like a nice massage as well. And then Summer Fridays makes one of my favorite lip masks at night. What's it called? The Summer Fridays Lip Butter Balm is so good. Specifically, they just came out with a new line of them for summer. My favorite right now is the pink sugar. The packaging is also very, very cute. And I just love going to bed feeling like a slug and feeling like my skin is just absorbing all of these good things in my life. So that's something that I've been into recently. Those are some things that I'm recently obsessed with and some of my weekly favorites. I will be back for more of my weekly favorites next week. Thank you guys so much for listening or watching this new episode of I'll Be Your Sister. This season, I will be talking about so many more things in my life and things that you guys are going through, as well as maybe having on a couple of guests, which is very, very exciting. So stay tuned for that. You can watch episodes of this podcast on the Pastor Bedtime YouTube channel, as well as listen to them on Spotify or wherever you guys listen to your podcasts. If you guys want to be part of the next Q&A for further episodes, you guys can DM me on Instagram at Ellie Zeiler. You can find me anywhere with my name at Ellie Zeiler. I love you guys so much. I'm so excited to be back. And yeah, I love you guys. Have a good week. Bye.